Hello and welcome to the Cycle Breaker Parents Unite podcast. Today I'm talking about time, and the reason that I'm talking about time is that this is the last day that people can sign up for the Turning Point. So I'm recording this on the 23rd of August 2021. And the Turning Point, as we know, opens, it's my 6-month program for Cycle Breaker parents, and it opens every 6 to 8 weeks. So we have these windows that open and close and open and close. And every time it gets towards the end of one of these, the windows of these cycles, I always start thinking about time. As you know, many of you, I have 3 children of my own. They're 6 and 4 and 3. One of them's recently had a birthday. They're 6, 4 and 3. And I don't know if other people have had this experience. It seems to be universal that when you're pregnant or when you're going to adopt and people say, grannies will come up to you in the queue at the supermarket and say, oh, enjoy it because it goes by so quickly. And you sort of, especially if it's your first, you kind of like roll your eyes like, oh yes, I know, it goes by so quickly. And then you blink and then they're 6. And it's just incredible, isn't it, how quickly time does go. And I guess it's a combination of having lots and lots of things to do, of being awake many hours through the night, especially if you have more than one child or if you have them close together, or say if you have multiples like twins or triplets. And the time just disappears and it evaporates. And one of the reasons that time comes up is that when people start, we have these conversations before they decide, and I'm not meaning just with working with me, people who go into therapy, into counselling, people who go into a general coaching. So I offer parenting coaching, other people offer career coaching, people who want to change their career. I work with a really wonderful a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, I guess. And we're in conversation a lot, and she calls herself, she's a corporate escape mentor. So she supports women. Her name is Lou Hynes, by the way. I'll link her in here. And she supports women to escape the corporate grind and go and find a career that they love. And what we come back to time and time again, and something that I came to when I signed up for my own coaching program, course, period of time, was time. Most things, a fairly intelligent person can do. You can change your own career. You can change the way that you parent. You can go in and truly, there's not many things that any coach or therapist can offer you that you can't do yourself. Sometimes there are specialist skills, certainly with a therapist who supports people with specific issues. Or if you need to learn a new skill, say you wanted to create an app and you didn't know anything about coding, yes, you'd have to learn a skill. But you probably could do that on your own. You probably could put YouTube videos together and read a load of books, read a load of articles. You can sign up through your local library. You could tell I'm British. So we could sign up through our local library. I don't know what it's like in other countries. And you can go and download research papers and you can read them. And that works. It totally works. But here's the thing. It's about time. It's about how important your time is and how long it takes you to get to the goal. So when we're thinking about, say, an app, if you wanted to create an app, so I've just signed up today to this wonderful app, which I will also link to. It's called, let me have a quick look at my phone here. It's called the Tapping Solution. And it's, if anybody's ever heard of it, like the EFT, where you tap in different places whilst you do meditations. And I'm finding it, and then under the arms, I'm finding it really powerful. And so, and also they do children's ones. So here's my phone here. They do children's ones. There's a 5-day pain relief series. And what I could do, they even have audiobooks that tell you about creating long-lasting change, pain relief, which has been important for me because I pulled my back last week, how tapping works, tapping and weight loss, tapping and changing your life. And I find it really interesting. I found it really powerful, and it's in the 2-week trial that I had, made a really big change to my life, to my pain when I pulled my back out, and it helped my kids sleep. Now, I could go and learn everything about tapping. There's loads of videos. I have friends who, and acquaintances and colleagues through my coaching network who specialize in EFT, emotional freedom technique, and tapping. And I could ring them and we could book calls and send emails and things, or I could just get an app. It's about time, isn't it? So it costs us, I think, £90 for a year, which for me it's an investment. It's an investment that made me think. And what made me think was, yes, I could do this on my own. Yes, I could go and learn the ins and outs of tapping, of how it works. I could read the books. I mean, I am listening to the audio books because I find it interesting and I do want to know more, especially because I've seen it. I have seen it get my kids to sleep. As far as I'm concerned, I would just throw money at them at this point if it's helping my children sleep. And I'm not right now. That say £90 that it costs for an app, which seems ridiculous, but it's because it's membership, to their wealth of resources. That £90 is worth it for me, because now is the time for action. Now, for me, in terms of thinking, getting the children to sleep and my own general stress levels. It's August 2021, as I said, recording this. We have been in lockdown for 3 months, and in Vietnam, that lockdown means you don't leave your apartment. We've recently, in the last week and a half, been able to go out for 2 10-minute trips outside to the garden and back. It's tough, and I'm not willing to invest the time in learning the ins and outs of tapping and then reap the benefits. I just want the benefits now, and I trust them and I know them, and I've seen that the Ortner family who run it, they have this big presence online. They know what they're talking about. They present research papers. I trust them. I've heard about EFT and tapping before, so I've done it. and I have no regrets. So this is what I'm thinking about with when I say, time for action. It's also, it's time for action, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And also it's how valuable is your time. And for me, my time and not spending many hours, which I don't have right now, on learning all about tapping, which I'm intellectually capable of doing, just like you're intellectually capable of learning everything about parenting, as if anyone could know anything. But, learning more about parenting, having lots of information and creating your own conclusions and your own way of raising your kids to build autonomy and breaking your own cycles. Yes, you're totally capable of it. Yes, you can DIY it. There's no problem with that. And for some people, that's the best way to go, and that's what they want. And for other people, like me with the tapping, I want it now. I want the benefits now, and that's why I paid for it. So there's that element of, how important is your time? And if it's something that you say I had more time and I didn't have 3 children and we weren't in lockdown and I could, devote an hour a day to it, that would be great, because it would be like a hobby, like a passion that I was following. And I don't have that right now. And it's different for for other people. So things like parenting, it's my career, it's my passion, it's what I've devoted all of my my learning and my qualifications to, and that is why I choose to spend my time on that. And for other people, they don't want to do that. They want to spend their time playing with their kids and their family. They want to spend their time, running their household and things, because again, I totally get that as well. And they want to spend their spare time, well, their bulk of their time, say at work, pursuing their career or educating their children or being there for their children. And they actually just are prepared then just to sign up to somebody who knows the ins and outs and can say, okay, this is what you do. If you want to know why, I'll tell you some more. But basically, this is what you do today. Go through this exercise, you reap the benefits. And that is why I created the Turning Point. Because then people can... I'm pausing because my computer's suddenly gone very dark. Oh, there you go, that's better. Because then I am that person, just like the tapping app is my way of learning about tapping and using it and getting the benefit of it. I am the person who supports cycle breaker parents with their cycle breaking and with their healing and with moving forward from their past experiences and the stories that we create in our early survival childhood around those stories about who we are and how valuable we are and how clever we are and how resilient we are in the face of life. And then I support parents with, okay, so I've done all the reading and well, again, you can never do all the reading, but I've done many hours of reading, and I've come to these conclusions, and it's backed by this science. Here is what I recommend you do. Here's how you do it. Off you go. And then you just get to reap the benefits of it. That's what coaching is all about. That's what things like the tapping app. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, I'm pointing at the app. That's why I'm pointing over there, because I've still got the app open. So there's one element of time. And also when we think about, the time is now and it's the time for action. If I circle back to what I was talking about at the start of this podcast, when I was saying about how, when you're pregnant or when you're going through the adoption process or fostering or however you come to have your babies, your children, your young people come into your life, and everybody says, all these people are older say, oh, it goes by so quickly, and we don't really understand it. We're like, yeah, because you can't understand it. This is why another whole swathe of the population, choose to book support and to take action. And again, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about things like me having the tapping app. About things like taking a course in a particular skill, like the coding. Like if you wanted to create your own app and you didn't know how to code, you could spend 2 years learning how to code and then get your app out, and then release it to the world, whatever your app would be in. Or you could pay somebody to create the app, and you say, okay, here's all the content, here's what I want it to look like, here's how I want it to feel to the customer, the client, or whatever app buyers are called, I guess customers. Users, there you go, here's what I want it to be for the users, go. And then you form a partnership that way. And yes, you end up paying for it, but also you get that time back because your app is out now as opposed to in 2 years' time when you've learned all about coding. Does it mean you're not clever enough to code? No, it means that you don't have that skill right now and you just want the results. And you're willing to go through, the process that you need. So you still have to say, I want this content, here is the video, here's the audio, here's what I want the buttons to look like and the color scheme and things. And then somebody goes and does the technical stuff for you. So your time is powerful. And when we think about that in relation to parenting and learning about, say, child psychology and techniques and attachment theory and how to raise our children to be strong, authentic, and have faith in themselves and that they are safe, seen, soothed, secure. These 4 come from the book The Power of Showing Up by Dan Siegel and Tina Bryson. I will link it. I'm actually going to do a review of it. I'm not quite finished it, but nearly. I'm going to do a review of it on the blog. And I'll do a video review as well. So I'll put it up. Probably turn it into a podcast as well. Safe, seen, soothed, and therefore secure, securely attached, and secure in their own worth. If we want to raise our children to be like this, how do we do it? Yes, you could spend ages learning it. You could go to university. There's a really wonderful thinker and educator, parenting educator, who I love, called Dr. Justin Coulson. He's Australian. He's got his own channel. He's got loads of stuff. And he came to parenting psychology and learning about that because he became a parent. So he left his career when he became a parent because he got really, really obsessed and excited about how to be the best dad for his family. And then as he learned things, he started sharing it. And actually that experience is very similar to mine. Although I was working with children and families through the police and through teaching and through youth work before this. But I really, really delved into it when I had my own children and realised that I had to break my own cycles in order to be the best mom that I could be. And you can do that. If you want to go down that route, if you want to do your a degree and a master's and a PhD, you can. The thing is, when we think about, when you're in the queue at Sainsbury's or Walmart or whatever supermarket you have, we have Vinmart here, from the Vin family in Vietnam, and people will say like, oh, it goes by so quickly, and you sort of like, yeah, I'm sure it does. Boom, it does. I have a nearly 7-year-old and I can't quite believe it. And I know other people from, seeing people's social media posts and friends of mine, they'll do that thing where they're like, how is Charlie 7? How is Lucy a teenager? How? Where has that gone? That kind of thing. And my niece, I still remember holding my niece, and she is now about to start her A-levels, post-16 study. It's amazing. So when we're thinking about the time for action is now, you've got to weigh it up. It's all about weighing it up. And if you love the learning and you love the skills like me and like Dr. Justin Coulson, you can do the PhD alongside your children growing up. And if you don't have that, or if you have a massively fulfilling career that you want to spend your time on, but you also want to be the best mom and dad that you can be, or grandma, because I know that or auntie or carer, because I know that it's not all parents, that it's people in loco parentis, in the place of parents who raise, grandparents raising a child, or having partial custody, that kind of thing. And so if you want to be the best young person and child supporter that you can be, you've got to weigh up the learning against the time. If it takes you 2 years to learn what you need to know, that's 2 years that your child's growing that you're not using the skills. Just like me with the tapping. I don't want to wait 2 years to get the benefit. And I don't understand fully the science of tapping yet. I'm learning it bit by bit. Every day I probably listen to about 10-15 minutes of the audiobooks on the app. And, and every day I learn a little bit more and I understand a bit more. But right now, gets my kids to sleep and it stops us having arguments at bedtime. Winner. For me, I don't truly need to know and understand it. But what I do need to know is enough for me to trust to use it. And I need the skills, and I need the skills now. Therefore, I'm not willing to wait until my child is 8 when, whatever, say bedtime issues. And I know for us right now, it's localized because we're not getting enough exercise and we're in lockdown and we have lockdown anxiety. So I have bought a tool that supports us with child-friendly meditations for anxiety. There's actually even, how amazing is this? There is even a coronavirus anxiety for 6 to 8-year-olds meditation. We're absolutely loving it. So we do that every day and it is helping. So yes, there's the time. So there's the time it takes us to learn the skills. And then also there's the time with our children growing, because our babies become toddlers and our toddlers become kids and our kids become tweens and our tweens become teens. And then all of a sudden we have these young adults and then they've left our home. Now, many cycle breaker parents, we can remember the teenage years, and I speak to people. Obviously, I speak to people all the time about this, and they say things. They'll have a 5-year-old, and they'll be saying, "Do one of my real worries is what if they have the same relationship with me and my partner when they're teenagers that I had with my mom when I was a teenager." And they don't want that. And the thing is that, yes, you can turn things around at any point. There's another podcast, or I think it's podcast 12 or 13, but you can go through the list that I did with Aoife Griffin. It's called "It's Never Too Late." Aoife is the therapist who does the hypnotherapy on the Turning Point. It's Rapid Transformational Therapy, RTT, if you want to look it up. And she works with clients of all ages, and she's had clients in their 60s who have changed their lives because they've taken action in their 60s. It's never too late. It's never ever too late. And if you have teens and the relationship is breaking down with your teens, you can turn it around, and it's wonderful. And you can start when they're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if you want your teenagers and your tweens to be close to you, and to respect you and to know that you respect them and that they are safe, seen, soothed, and have a secure relationship, a secure attachment with you as they grow into themselves. And to have all of that, effectively, it's like a security blanket, isn't it, against peer pressure and social media and all of that. It really starts early. And that's what I mean about the time for action is now. Because I know I'm not alone in this thought. We only get one go with them, don't we? And then they're grown up. And then they might ring us and they might not ring us. And then they might come around for dinner or they might not come around for dinner. They might go traveling and they might go far away and never get in contact, which I know, not all, but many cycle breakers basically have done that. So I'm thinking of the people who are parents now who basically got out of their parents' house because they became of age and then moved on with their life, effectively, cut out that family connection. And we don't want that. Yeah, and I don't want that for you with your children. And it starts now. Now, when I say action, this is our last bit. So it's 20 minutes now, and I like to keep the podcast short. But I would just want to assure you that when I say action, I don't mean necessarily, of course, things like the turning point exist, and of course, I would like you to join. But I don't mean action as in going on a course. I don't mean action as in changing everything. I don't mean action as in booking therapy or, signing up to a mentor necessarily. I mean, that is a thing, and that is that's why it's called the turning point, because it's like a pivotal moment in people's lives. That's how I've designed it, with the healing and learning skills and then designing the life that you want to live and going for it. It's powerful and massive. Action doesn't necessarily mean that. And I think in society nowadays, we're trained to see, there's a lot of kind of all or nothing and extremes. And actually, the middle path, Aristotle, the middle path is the way to virtue. It doesn't have to be huge. Listening to this podcast is an action. Reading one page of a book or one chapter of a book every few days, that's action. One time where you take deep breaths instead of shouting, that's action. In fact, the being aware of, I'm feeling like a kettle about to boil, that's action. And it doesn't feel like action because it's not, lifting heavy things. It's not moving heavy things. We're not exhausted at the end of it. And that's, I guess that's a misconception, that action has to be huge, and it doesn't. Action can be sitting in the bath and thinking through your day and what you're going to do differently the next day. Action can be, I'm holding up a glass of water. It's actually a jam jar because we drink out of jam jars in our house because they're the only thing that kids can't break. And we're not huge fans of plastic. Action can be drinking water regularly throughout the day. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but the act of hydrating your body will change your parenting, because looking after yourself makes you stronger, calmer, less tired, and able to parent. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but all of these small things add together. The more you look after yourself and the more small, teeny, tiny incremental changes, you change your life. So action isn't huge. It isn't big. And that is one of the messages that I want to get across. It's that the time for action is always now. It's always now. And what you do now, I can't remember where I saw it. I'll show you, see if I can find the quote for you and do a live in the Facebook group, Cycle Breaker Parents Unite as well, about it. That what you do now, you reap the benefits of in 3 months' time. So if you start drinking water now and you make that part of your life, in 3 months' time, it's going to be embedded and you are going to be a more bouncy person. And you're going to be happier and less tired. In the Conscious Parenting Toolbox, I'll put the link to that as well in the show notes. In the Conscious Parenting Toolbox, there is a whole day devoted to hydration because it is that important, even though it seems so small and so negligible. But we've forgotten these skills of how to look after ourselves and our families. And it's life-changing. So, yeah, action can be small. It can be 1 minute of reflection whilst the kettle's boiling. It can be a 10-minute yoga flow. There's loads of those. If you go on YouTube, 10-minute yoga flow. I tend to use Yoga by Cassandra. John, my husband, uses, I think it's Yoga by Adrienne. And 10 minutes of reading a book, 5 minutes of sitting in peace and quiet, 1 minute to down half a glass of water. These kind of things, it all adds up. So the time for action is always now. Be wary about the value of, I don't want to spend money, therefore I'm going to learn it all myself. And that taking, say, 2 years, like me with learning about that £90, yes, it was a consideration, it made me pause, but it means that my kids are sleeping now, tonight and last night, and that all of us are happier versus a year or 2 years of me reading everything about tapping there is and creating my own meditations, which is partly what I would like to do, and maybe I will do it one day, but in the meantime, I just want my kids to rest and I want to support them with their anxiety around coronavirus. Therefore, I am doing this. So yeah, things to think about. Our kids grow and it goes by really quickly. I'm blown away always by every birthday. It blows me away that they're older. The kids grow and we can make, here's the really important thing to know, we and you as a parent can make huge changes in your relationship by changing one thing today. And it doesn't even need to be visible. Nobody needs to know about it. Even just thinking to yourself or writing in a journal, get yourself a glass of water after this is finished. That makes change. You have the power to make huge changes with small actions and big actions. And the time for action is always now. Thank you for your time. Speak to you soon. Bye.